Watch the bracket fill itself in. A group game ends somewhere in Texas, the final whistle goes, and on the screen a name slides into an empty slot in the knockout tree. Then another. It looks like the tournament is deciding itself live right in front of you. It isn't. Before any of these 48 teams had even qualified, a single document already existed with 495 answers written on it. Every road to the final already mapped. The bracket you think is being drawn was settled before a single ball was kicked in 2026. So here's the question worth sitting with. If the path was written in advance, what are the 90 minutes on the pitch actually deciding, and who decided the rest? Start with what the broadcast hides from you. This World Cup doesn't draw its knockout bracket live. There's no studio, no bowl of balls, no hand pulling out Brazil and frowning. FIFA published the entire structure before the tournament began. Win your group, and you drop into one fixed slot. Finish second, and another. The tree was complete while these teams were still on the plane. That alone is strange, but it gets stranger because of one number. This is the first World Cup with 48 teams, 12 groups of 4. The top 2 from each group go through, and then 8 more the 8 best third-place teams, and nobody knows until the very last group game ends, which 8 of the 12 they'll be. So FIFA did the only thing that keeps a pre-built bracket intact. They solved it ahead of time. Every possible version. 495 combinations of which third-place teams survive, each one mapped to an exact seat in the round of 32. A lookup table sitting in a drawer finished before the first whistle. The strange part isn't that the table exists. It's why FIFA felt they had to build it. For that, go back to one afternoon in 1982. A stadium in Gijon, Spain, West Germany against Austria, the last game of their group. And by kickoff, both teams already knew the math. A West German win by 1 or 2 goals, and both of them advanced, and Algeria, who had beaten the Germans days earlier, went home. Rubesh scored in the 10th minute, 1-0. The perfect number for both sides. Then nothing happened. For 80 minutes, 2 of the best teams in the world passed the ball sideways and waited out the clock. The crowd knew exactly what they were watching. Algerian fans waved banknotes at the pitch. On television, the commentary turned to open disgust. One broadcaster told viewers they might as well switch their sets off. FIFA investigated. FIFA ruled that no rule had been broken. Technically, that was true. Nobody had agreed to anything. They simply both wanted the same result, and the schedule let them see it coming. So FIFA changed the rule that made it possible. From then on, the final games in every group would kick off at the same minute, so no team could ever walk onto the pitch knowing precisely what it needed. And for 40 years, that fix held, then the tournament grew. To fit 48 teams, FIFA's first plan was 16 groups of 3. Critics saw the danger at once. 3-team groups mean a final game, where one side is already out and 2 already through. The same Gijon-shaped temptation built into every single group. Some inside FIFA even floated penalty shootouts to settle group draws, just to make a quiet arrangement harder. In March 2023, they backed away. 12 groups of 4 instead, with the 8 best third-place teams stitched on top. That fixed the group stage, it broke the bracket. Because you can't stage a live draw when you won't know your qualifiers until the last night. So FIFA reached for the only tool that works: compute everything in advance. 495 outcomes, everyone assigned its seat. Now, you might object, the draw was still random, the teams still have to go out and play. True, but only halfway. The randomness lives in which group you landed in months ago. The map from your group position to your place in the bracket was locked long before that. The matches decide where you finish. The table decides where that finish sends you. The system keeps its own quiet rules too. It will never drop a third-place team into a first-round rematch against a side from its own group. The machine was built to take the choice out of human hands, but it left one door open. Here's the door. Because the table is public, a team can do the arithmetic before the final whistle. Not guess, calculate. Look down at the standings, look at the published bracket, and see precisely which finish hands them the gentler opponent, which brings us 44 years later back to Algeria and Austria. In 2026, the draw put them in the same group again. The same 2 nations from that afternoon in Gijon sorted into Group J alongside Argentina, and the bracket beneath them offered a familiar, ugly little choice. Finish second in the group, and the prize is Spain, the #1 team in the tournament. Finish third, and you slide toward Belgium or Egypt instead. Read that again. Doing better in your group earns you the harder opponent. Finishing lower earns you the easier one. That's the exact incentive that poisoned Gijon. The reward for winning quietly turned upside down. And this time, it wasn't an accident of scheduling. It was printed in advance inside a table built specifically to stop this from happening. The pre-written bracket didn't kill the temptation to shape a result. It did something colder. It made the temptation calculable. So what are the 90 minutes deciding? Not who you play. Not in the old sense, the sense where a draw can still surprise you. The games were never choosing your opponent. They were choosing which pre-assigned slot you fall into, in a tree that was finished before any of these teams arrived. When that name slides into the bracket on your screen, nothing is being decided in that moment. It was settled long ago. You're just watching the right cell of a spreadsheet light up. Even the reward for topping your group, the so-called kinder route, was engineered and waiting. And the bracket you printed out at home, the one you filled in with a pen, you weren't predicting the future. You were guessing how teams would move through a structure that was already complete. That's the part worth keeping. The thing in this sport that feels most like chaos, the wild, unscripted scramble of a knockout draw, is in truth its most controlled, most predetermined object. Built that way on purpose, built to take the decision out of human hands, ever since one afternoon in 1982 proved that humans, handed the choice, will quietly take the result they want. And the last irony writes itself. By making every path knowable in advance, the system gave the teams back the one thing Gijon was ever about: the ability to look at the board and know exactly what they need. You're not watching a draw unfold. You're watching a document being read out loud.